What's going on, everybody? It's Sunday, September the 24th, 2023, 6:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to episode 226 of McRae Live. Yes. The Exorcist Believer release is upon us very soon. And it looks like we have a runtime. There's cat hair all over my mic. At least that's according to MovieWeb, which is a fairly trusted source. I usually like to wait until I hear my horror news from Bloody Disgusting because that's all they do is horror. But MovieWeb's pretty good. And we'll take a look at this right now and talk about it in a second here. But yes, we have the whole runtime situation I want to talk about today. This what appears to be an obsession with movies' runtimes. And if it's not a certain length, if it's not a certain runtime, some fans seem to think that means the movie's going to be crap and that it's shit. And that I just don't understand it. So I thought I would do a show on it here today. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about movie runtimes and whether or not we should care about this. And as usual, I think the argument is, like most arguments, nuanced. But of course, in today's day and age, nuance is a thing of the past. Nobody cares about that. But I think it's important because I, for one, and I've talked about this in past shows when the topic has come up, but I haven't dedicated a specific show to it. So that's why I'm doing the show here today. And that, of course, is talking about movie runtimes. And it's not, again, this is where the nuance comes in, right? It's not that a runtime isn't important at all. The question is, how important is it? And should we really care about a movie's runtime before we've seen the movie? Well, there are people out there that really care about that kind of stuff. That they will want to know before a movie is released. What's the runtime? And if it's not as long as they think it should be, they go, uh-oh. What do you mean, uh-oh? I don't get it. So we're going to talk about it here today. So The Exorcist Believer, according to MovieWeb.com, let me see if I can bring this up. Just give me a second here. Let me see if I can bring this up here. This is from MovieWeb.com. And this comes to us. This was yesterday. And this is it right here. Okay, so it says right here, as you can clearly see, The Exorcist Believer shocks fans with its unexpected runtime. It shocks fans. The Exorcist Believer challenges the convention by opting for a shorter runtime. Challenges the convention? Okay. Looks like she's really enjoying that piece of paper. We got an ad. 2 decades have passed, and as the shadowy corridors echo once more with the haunting... Oh, hang on a sec. Let me see if I can get this in here. Let's just get to the juicy stuff. I don't need to really... let's just get to the juicy stuff here. So here it is right here, right? Here's the paragraph we want to pay attention to. So this says right here, but it seems there's a twist even before the film's premiere. It's runtime. In a surprising turn, recent updates from AMC Theaters, courtesy of whoever that guy is, indicate a runtime of 1 hour and 51 minutes for The Exorcist Believer, in contrast to the previously circulated 2 hours and 1 minute by Rotten Tomatoes. This 111-minute revelation stands shorter than the series average, leading to raised eyebrows across the fan community. Okay. Well, let me jump back over to the other screen. So let's talk about this. First of all, I don't think we should particularly care what the hell the series average is, because I don't think it's a very good series to begin with. So who cares? I mean, really, at the end of the day, you've sort of proven my point just with saying that people are surprised. It's 100. It's like, 10 minutes shorter than the series average. Well, maybe that's a good thing because the series ain't that good. So look, the original Exorcist from 1973, I think, is 2 hours and 2 minutes. It's something like that, right? 122 minutes. Now remember, that's TRT. And TRT is total runtime. Whenever you see the runtime of a movie, obviously there can be instances where this isn't the case, but generally speaking, when you see a movie's runtime posted, that is the TRT. That's the total runtime. That means with credits. Okay, that's with credits. So that's the whole length of the movie, right? And credits is included in the movie. So here we have The Exorcist, the first one, is 2 hours and 2 minutes, about that. Now we have Exorcist Believer, which is roughly about 10 minutes shorter than that. Let me put that on pause for a second and say this. I think I understand why people are obsessed with, we're going to come back to this, okay? So I've said all that. Let's put that on pause for a moment. I think I understand why people are obsessed with runtimes. Even if they don't realize this consciously, what I think it has to do with, again, generally, what I think it has to do with is there's this, they equate, obviously, to the longer a movie is, the better it will be, right? I mean, obviously that should go without saying, but I also think it goes beyond that. I think they like when a movie is longer, especially when they're very emotionally invested into whatever property or franchise it is, because it means that it's more time for the viewer to spend with their favorite characters. It means more time with the movie. It means more time on the ride, right? It's like finding out that a roller coaster is, 4 minutes long instead of 2.5 minutes long. Oh, well, that gets you excited because that means that you get to spend more time on the roller coaster, right? And I think that, but that doesn't mean that that extra 2 minutes is good. I mean, I've been on some 2-minute roller coasters that are fantastic and 4-minute roller coasters that are like, can we get off, please? You know what I'm saying? So I think we really have to just dial this back as fandom. I see it all the time. What's the runtime? How long is it? Who cares? Who cares? Unless the movie is 58 minutes long or 4 hours and 6 minutes long, who cares? Who cares how long it is? Now, I know people might say, well, hang on. The original Exorcist is 2 hours and 2 minutes. That means that the sequel's got to be that time because you need that time for slow burn and be able to do all this kind of stuff. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. The Exorcist 3, which despite its 58% on Rotten Tomatoes, okay, is generally loved by horror fans within the horror community as the best sequel in the franchise. The Heretic, get that out of here. Exorcist Beginning and Dominion, which is basically the same movie from two different directors, get that out of there. And they haven't had a movie since in the franchise. So The Exorcist 3, Dominion, Exorcist Dominion it was the beginning and then it was Dominion. Was that what it was? And then the one from 1990 was also, anyways, I'm drawing a blank. But you know what I'm talking about. The chat room will let me know. The Exorcist 3, 1990, George C. Scott, right? I think we all can agree that that's a really good movie. That's pretty good. I mean, it's not as good as the original, but as far as it's good. It's got that same flavor. It's directed by William Peter Blatty, of course, who wrote the book, right? So, he directed it, he massaged it and crafted it, and it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. You know how long that movie is? 110 minutes, 1 minute shorter than Exorcist Believer is reported to being, right? It's also 10 minutes shorter than the original Exorcist. Runtime doesn't mean fuck all, people. Generally speaking, okay? Now, when would a runtime matter? When should we as fans be interested in a runtime or concerned with a runtime? Okay, well, I'll give you an example. Let's take streaming to start. So we have like your favorite show, right? Let's take Stranger Things just as an example. I'm just using it as an example, okay? So here we have Stranger Things, right? Actually, you know what? Let me get rid of that actually, because it's going to be too hard to disassociate. So let's just take a show on Netflix. I'm going to make up a show. It's called Sideways from Dawn or something. I don't know. Sideways from Dawn, right? It's this really awesome show. They've had 4 seasons already, 10 episodes a season, lots of character arcs and drama and subplots and all that kind of stuff, right? Like really cool. Each episode is like, 45 minutes long, something like that. It's one of those really, cool shows, right? That everybody seems to be into. And then Netflix announces, okay, you know what? The 5th season is going to be the final season, right? The final season. Oh, okay, great. Go ahead. And having watched the final episode of season 4, there's still a lot of things, a lot of loose ends, a lot of arcs that are incomplete, all that kind of stuff, right? There's a lot of loose threads that they need to tie up in season 5. You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of stuff they need to tie up, and you don't really want to rush that because you don't want to shoehorn it, all that kind of stuff, right? And then you find out, and this is the equivalent of, how it would go. Then you find out that season 5 is not 10 episodes long, it's 5 episodes long. And each episode is not 45 minutes long, it's 28 minutes long. And you sit there and you go, but there's so much still left to are they really going to be able to do this? Ooh, that has me worried, right? That has me worried. As a fan of, what did I say? Sideways from Dawn or whatever it was. That actually sounds like a cool show. I don't know what the hell that means. But, as a fan of that show, I'd be like, this is, there's still a lot. There's so many arcs incomplete. There's so many loose threads, plot things, story plot. What? They're going to complete this in 5 episodes of 20. What? Yes, then you're worried because you can look at sort of the structure of the story. You can look at sort of the foundation of what's been set, where it needs to go, how much time they've spent building and building and building, and they've set a tone, they've set a pace, they've set a style, right? They've set sort of expectations of, how long they take to tell a story and really flesh things out and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it feels like in season 5, they're going to go and end. And it's like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Yes, as fans, then we can be a little concerned, right? I don't know about this, right? You know what I'm saying? We find out that you take a movie, right? And you take like Lord of the Rings, for example, right? Where, each movie is 3 hours long. So you find out the Fellowship of the Ring is 3 hours long. The Two Towers is 3 hours long. And then you find out that the Return of the King is 90 minutes. Well, then you go, you know what I'm saying? Because that's such a contrast, and it's so deep, and there's so many characters, and and such deep-seated storytelling that you look at that and you go, really? I'm a little worried about this because there's still so much story left to go that you've set up. Do you know what I'm saying? So in those instances, I can understand how being concerned about a movie's runtime or a show's, episode time or, length or, whatever the case is, that makes sense to me. But in a general sense, this obsession over a movie's runtime makes no sense. It makes no sense because we have seen movies that have been 2 hours that are terrible. And we've seen movies that are 90 minutes that are fantastic. All the movies you love from the 80s, okay? The horror movies, let me specify that. All the, Elm Street, Friday the 13th, your Halloween, they're all 90 minutes. They're all 90 minutes. They're all 90 minutes. I know they're slasher films. Yeah, but Dave, this is The Exorcist and he's that breather. I get that. But this is also a legacy sequel set 50 years later. It doesn't necessarily have to match the runtime of the original. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if The Exorcist Believer was, 65 minutes, well, then yeah, I'd be concerned. 111 minutes? That's over an hour and a half. There's many movies out there that have that slow burn, that because of the pacing, because of the editing, because of how the story was laid out, and the pacing of the film and the atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. There's lots of 90-minute movies that pack a lot in there, and things feel fleshed out and complete, and you feel fulfilled, and you don't realize, wow, this was only like 95 minutes long, because of the storytelling. It's good storytelling. It's good characters, right? The pacing is great. You don't feel like it's too long or not enough. Do you know what I'm saying? So articles like this always get me. I always sit back and go, it's not like they came back and said The Believer is only going to be 65 minutes. It's 10 minutes shorter than the original Exorcist. That's pretty marginal at the end of the day. And there's nothing that says that because the original Exorcist, which is one of the most iconic movies in motion picture history, let alone horror films, and yes, it's eerie and that slow burn and psychological. Absolutely. It's part of its identity, but that doesn't mean you can't deliver something. And I'm not saying they will. I'm just simply saying that doesn't mean you can't deliver something that is fantastic and you still feel that slow burn and that new in 110 minutes or 111 minutes. You can still do that. I mean, take The Exorcist 3. Take Legion, that's what it was. Legion, it just came to me now. I'm sure it was in the chat room. Legion, yes, Dominion. So I did get it right. Dominion was The Exorcist, the beginning, and then Dominion, and then Legion, of course, was the, yeah. Anyway, look at The Exorcist 3. It's 110 minutes long, right? It's 10 minutes, a full 12 minutes, really shorter than the original. And it's fantastic. Has a great slow burn, is really eerie. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel like they're rushing through anything or anything like that. So I will never, it doesn't make logical sense to me that we are somehow equating the length of a movie to the quality of that movie. It does not when it's marginal like this, not when you have to, in order to be able to sell me on it, in order to be able to say, ooh, Exorcist Believer, only 111 minutes. Ooh, you've got to give me more than what you just said. Ooh. Well, talk to me. What are you worried about? Well, the original was 2 hours and 2 minutes and okay. All right. Well, what are you worried about? Are you worried about they're not going to have enough time? Because they can have enough time. I mean, it's plenty of time. Plenty of time. That's it. It actually, to be fair, to be totally fair, you could watch The Exorcist Believer and feel like it's too long. You could walk out of, ironically, you could walk out of the theater and think, wow, that was so slow. You could. That 100% is possible. Even though it's 10 minutes shorter than The Exorcist. You could. And that's all down to the storytelling, the pacing, and the editing, right? And how things unfold. And so this obsession in this over runtime is again, the only thing I can equate it to is people, and even if they don't think of this consciously, people just like to know that a movie's longer because that means they get to spend more time on the ride. And if that's what it is, well, then let's just call a spade a spade. Oh, okay. I hope the movie's longer because I want to spend more time with the movie. Okay, because I want to spend more time with my favorite franchise, whether it's Marvel or DC or Star Wars or whatever the case is. Okay, I want to spend more, I want to spend more time looking at that hot actress. Okay, sure, that makes sense to me. But this idea that somehow if a movie is longer, it means there's a higher probability it will be better. Not at all. Not at all. There's so many other factors that come into play that will dictate whether the movie resonates with you or is good, right, than its runtime. You know, I've watched movies before, as I'm sure you all have too, where, you know, we'll be watching a movie and we'll really feel like we've been watching it for a while and we're not bored. We're not like, you know, checking our watch or anything. We're not bored. We just kind of feel like we've been watching this movie for a while. And you look at how much time has gone by and it's only been like, you know, 58 minutes. And it's like a 110-minute movie. And you're like, wow, it really that comes down to the editing and the pacing and the structure of the storytelling. So this idea that fans are concerned about why? Like, tell me why. Well, the original was 2 hours and 2 minutes. Okay. All right. Well, but that doesn't mean that this is not going to be good, right? It's not like you need, people have to begin to understand that pacing is not about a film's length. I mean, it can be, and obviously a film's length, you have to work within certain parameters, but you can have a movie that feels fast, a quick 90 minutes, and you can have a movie that feels long. Halloween, the original from 1978, is 91 minutes long. It's a pretty kind of slow burn feeling 91 minutes. And then you could watch another movie that's 90 minutes and just, it flies by. It flies by. It all comes down to it comes down to the structure of the storytelling. Are you watching a 90-minute horror movie? Are you watching a 90-minute action movie, right? Where there's a lot of ba, and your mind is so stimulated from all the visual stimulus that the time goes by faster because you are dialed in and preoccupied with everything that's going on. Whereas you watch a 90-minute horror movie like Halloween or take, you know, something else that's a bit slower, that isn't offering the same visual stimulus, right? It can feel longer, even though it's not. So, this doesn't worry me at all. I never ask what a runtime is. Never, ever, ever. It's one of the things about fandom, about being online, that I always kind of just chuckle at when I see people really like needing to know, like they need to know. And listen, all power to you, but if you are worried about a film's runtime, because you're worried that if it's not longer than what you want it to be, that means there's a higher probability it won't be good. That couldn't be further from the truth. Like, there is no science to back that up. And as a matter of fact, we have a lot of evidence that is to the contrary, right? So who cares? The Exorcist Believer is reported to be 10 minutes shorter than the original Exorcist. Okay. Oh, okay. You know, maybe this is the amount of time they needed to be able to tell the story, right? Now, if we get the Exorcist Believer and then we get the Exorcist Deceiver, right? And maybe they're in and around the same length. And then we get the Exorcist, I don't know, you know, whatever the other one is, Redeemer, right? You know, the third one. And it ends up being like, you know, 88 minutes, but yet there's so many loose things and so many things they need to wrap up. Well, then you can kind of go, that's a full like 25-minute, like within the confines of this continuous story that they're telling, right? You know, there isn't that 50-year break, right? It's a trilogy. And you could look at that and be like, wow, or maybe it's like 84 minutes. There's some feature films out there, feature films that you love and know, that are like 85 minutes. And you hear that and you're like, so Exorcist Believer was 111 minutes. Exorcist Deceiver was 112 minutes. And Exorcist Redeemer, let's say, I don't know if that's what it's called. Redeemer is 84 minutes? Wow. But there's still so much. That doesn't mean they can't do it. But then I could see the justification. I could see the justification of fans being like, this is a little interesting, because I'd be right there with you, right? It would depend for me on what there is left to tell. How many loose ends are there? How many arcs are still incomplete, right? How much story is there left to tell? And if there's still so much left unanswered, I would be right there with you going, is 88 minutes really enough? Because we got like 4 characters we need to wrap up and we need to take our time with them. We got this person. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that I totally get. But beyond that, just this whole thing about being this obsessive need of a film's runtime is always sort of perplexing to me. And like I said, I conjured up to just it being simply, even if people don't really think about this consciously, I think what they really want is to just spend more time. It's like, is the roller coaster 2.5 minutes or is it 4 minutes, right? You know what I mean? And then if it's 4 minutes, psychologically you think, oh, I get to spend 4 minutes on this amazing roller coaster. Well, yeah, but maybe it's not an amazing roller coaster, right? I mean, maybe 4 minutes is too long. Maybe 2 minutes is just right. There's some epic roller coasters out there that are like 90 seconds. And maybe 90 seconds is perfect for that roller coaster. It's perfect. And it makes you just want to go on it again. Whereas if it was 30 seconds longer, it's just, I'm not really feeling it, right? You know what I mean? It's too long. It was too long, So anyways, that's what I have to say on that. I understand, like I can intellectualize, but that's one of the things about fandom today that I see. I have never in my life, when I hear that a movie's, coming out, like I never even thought about looking up what the runtime is for The Exorcist Believer. I don't care. Who cares? Like I don't, like I've never, it doesn't, a film's runtime never resonates with me. Like I said, unless, again, it's built into that there's still so much story left to tell. But this is a new film. This is a new story. This isn't, yes, it's a legacy sequel to the original Exorcist, but this isn't like it's continuing where we left off. I mean, this is a brand new story set 50 years later. So they felt that, 111 minutes was what they needed to tell that story. And like I said, it could be a boring 111 minutes. 30 minutes in, you could be checking your watch, So I think personally, my advice, like it says on the thumbnail, stop obsessing over runtimes. It means nothing, generally speaking. It will mean nothing far more than it will ever mean something. Let's just put it that way. It will mean nothing far more than it ever will mean something. It doesn't mean that there won't be instances where it will mean something. And I gave examples here today of that. But like instances like this, who cares? Like, I mean, it's not like they're saying it's, 82 minutes long. Then I'd be like, wow, that's really short. That's strange, or it's 75 minutes long. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, that's what I have to say on that, ladies and gentlemen. I just think we need to move past, this, these little things. And I get asked all the time too. Like, how long is Billy going to be? Or how long is Dylan's New Nightmare going to be? And it's just like, who cares how long? I don't understand. And again, I think it's because they feel that if it's longer, it's going to be good. Or if it's longer, that means there's more time. There's more time spent with them. And it's just going to make it better. It doesn't mean that, folks. It doesn't mean that. A film's runtime being longer doesn't mean it's going to be better at all. It doesn't mean that there aren't examples of a film being long where it is great. I'm not saying that, but they're not like, it's not hard science. So I think we need to move past it. Let's not ever worry about a film's runtime unless it comes to your, attention. Like I said, like in a case of a streaming show where you have all these loose ends in these characters, and then you find out the last season is only 5 episodes long and they've cut it down from 45 minutes to 22 minutes. Well, then then it makes sense to be worried about the runtime and the episode length. Totally makes sense, but it will not make any lick of difference at all at the end of the day, really, in my opinion. So I always get a chuckle out of it when I see people obsessing over it. How long's Halloween Kills going to be? Ooh, I don't know. And it's like, who cares? Generally speaking, horror movies are going to be between 90 minutes and 2 hours anyway, right? So there you go. It's generally not going to be below 90 minutes, and usually they're not above 120. So, and this is smack dab right in the middle at 111. Perfect. There it is. Anyways, folks, let's jump over to the chat room. I know a couple of super chats came in, so let me get those super chats right now. We've got Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh. And says, do you like school? Did you like school as a kid, or did you find going to school a pain? Also, what was your least favorite subject? My least favorite subject was math. I was terrible at math. Did I like school? I did like it. Yeah. No, I had no issues with it. I had no issues going to school. No, I didn't hate it. No, I liked going to school. So yeah. Yeah, my least favorite subject was math. It still is to this day. I was atrocious with math. Loomis Screams, get out now. Sends in $5. Says, thank you, Dave, for all you do. Very much appreciated. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you very much. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that as well. And by the way, yes, I forgot to put into the chat here, YouTube membership on my channel now. The link is in the description. If you want to become a member here on the channel and get access to exclusive perks and shows and things like that. So our next horror movie night watch along for level number 2 members is coming up soon. It won't be next Saturday, because I have something I need to attend to. So I think I might push it to either the following Saturday or the Sunday. But I will let you guys know. I will let you guys know. And then, of course, we have to have One Good Scare is coming up soon, too, which is the Halloween only show. But yeah. And then, of course, you get access with, you can see some people in there. Your name is highlighted. You get badges, emojis. You get the Butt Dave emoji. Awesome stuff. Let's see what people are saying. Sean Sheridan, hey Sean, one of our channel members here, says, with Dylan's New Nightmare, I thought the runtime was too long of the movie overall, but focusing on runtimes is stupid. It depends on the movie. Some movie could have 20 minutes shaved off or need more. No, it's true. It's true. I just don't, like, again, I can intellectualize it, but I just think it's a losing battle. Don't worry about it. Don't ever worry about a film's There are situations, and like I said, I've laid them out here today on when you should be worried, right? You've got this epic trilogy like Lord of the Rings, right? And the first movie's like 3 hours, second movie's like 3 hours. And then all of a sudden you find out the conclusion to this epic story is like 88 minutes. Yeah, then you could go, well, that's weird because there's still so much story. But this story with the Exorcist Believer hasn't been told yet. The story for The Exorcist Believer has not been told yet. So for The Exorcist from 1973, 2 hours and 2 minutes was the correct amount of time to tell that story. Maybe 111 minutes is the correct amount of time to tell this story. It's a new story. So I think what it is, specifically with The Exorcist, is that because The Exorcist, the original, has that documentary vibe, that slow burn, that psychological, everything I've talked about here on the channel with that movie. It's fantastic. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. And it's brilliant. And its pacing and its nuance and its slow burn is definitely a big part of that, right? It's a big part of the film's and the story's identity. But that story's done. It's over. Yes, this is a sequel for sure, but it's over. It's done, right? So now they're telling a new story 50 years later, whether it's Pazuzu or not. I don't know. Has it been confirmed it's Pazuzu's back? I don't know. But maybe this is the correct length for that. Let me just look up a couple of things here. I want to look up something. I want to look up a couple of slow burn films, a couple of classic slow burn films that we know are slow burn. Okay, here you go. The Others. I think we can all agree The Others is one of those modern day classics, right? Lots of mood and atmosphere. And I know it's a different subgenre. Okay. I'm just saying modern classic mood atmosphere. It's a slow burn. It's 104 minutes long. 104 minutes long, right? Let's take this one. Tell you about it. We got, oh, wait, that's not Wikipedia. I thought it was Wikipedia. There we go. No, I don't want the whole series. I want just the one. There we go. Okay. There we go. We got Insidious, right? I think we all can agree that Insidious is one of those modern day classics, a possession film, right? It's got a nice slow burn to it, right? Right? We all can agree with that, right? Right? The first one, right? It's 101 minutes long. 101 minutes long. Okay. Let's check out another modern day classic. Over here, go to the Wikipedia page. Scroll down here. The Conjuring. We all can agree that The Conjuring, the first one, right? The Conjuring, a modern day demon possession horror classic. I saw it in the theater. I love The Conjuring. I love that. It's great. Slow burn, eerie, right? All that great stuff, right? It's 112 minutes long. It's 1 minute longer than The Exorcist Believer is reported, of being. So, again, it's my point. Who cares? Who cares? I just gave you 3 examples there of modern day horror classics that even if you don't like personally, because it didn't work for you, the general consensus on those 3 movies is that they are modern day classics. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, the others, Insidious and The Conjuring, will be looked upon as how we look back on some classics today. Right? They are, without a doubt, in terms of mainstream Hollywood studio released movies, The Conjuring, Insidious, and the others, are modern day horror classics. And all of them are either faster, are shorter. The others and Insidious are shorter than Believer. And The Conjuring is 1 minute longer. So again, I don't, we have to get this out of our heads. Who cares? Unless there's a reason to care. But just to care in a general sense doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Now let's take a look at, since we looked at The Conjuring is 112 minutes, let's take a look at The Conjuring 3. Let's see how long that is. We all can agree that that movie, not very good, right? When you compare The Conjuring to The Conjuring 3, not very good, right? It is also 112 minutes long. So there you go. So here you have a 112 minute long movie that's, and you also have a 112 minute movie that's, right? Storytelling, characters, pacing, editing. You know what I'm saying? It comes down to the structure and the execution of the story, not the length of the movie, So, yeah. I see that. Of course, I mean, it's not like I have a gigantic following, so it'll continue to be out there and people will continue to obsess over it. They'll be like, no, filming needs to be longer. And how many times has this happened? How many times have people out there seen the runtime of a movie like, yeah, oh, fuck yeah, and then gone to see it and been like, gone to see it, and then, oh shit. It's probably happened too. It's probably happening too. Evil Alex says, I like The Conjuring 3. That's good. Remember, I'm talking about generally, right? When you compare The Conjuring 3 and The Conjuring, the general consensus is The Conjuring 3 is a far inferior film to The Conjuring, right? I mean, it's like how some people like Halloween 5. Yeah, Halloween 5, you could love Halloween 5, but, you know what I'm saying. All right, have I missed any other super chats? I don't know if I have. I'm not entirely sure if I have. Let me go back over here and just take a quick look. I don't believe so. No, it's just those 2. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Scroll down. Let's see here. All right, just scrolling back to see. Cody Snyder sent me a YouTube link. Uh-oh, what's this YouTube link, Cody? It's a YouTube. Oh, you put the link into my membership, I think is what you did. That's cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, it'd be great to get more members here on the channel. 2 Dudes is hopefully returning this Wednesday, I hope. I hope it returns this Wednesday. Just been very busy, guys. Very, very busy. Of course, I'm in pre-production on Billy 2, and Tony is extremely busy with his photography and his home renovations and all that kind of stuff. So we've been, we got to do what we got to do, right? What we got to do. We got to do what pays the bills. Not that Billy 2 pays the bills, but but his photography certainly does. Rio Reveal sends in 279. It says, how many tattoos do you have? And what is their meaning? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 tattoos. So the 79 obviously is the year I was born. The hummingbird is for my mother, who obviously passed away in 2011. This is a rock with the word believe. The word believe is etched in stone there. And then M31 is, no, not Michael Myers Halloween. Of course, you could think of that. This is the astrological code for the galaxy of Andromeda. Literally, that's why I have it there. I find space, Andromeda, all that shit really cool. This is the one that really isn't personal. Everything else on me is personal. But that one there, it's not like personal or anything. I just thought it was cool. So I put M31 there. This is a feathered pen. I don't know if you can see that. This is a feathered pen with my dad's penmanship. So at the bottom there, it says dad. And that's actually my dad's handwriting. And because obviously my dad was a writer, so a feathered pen. He was a writer and he passed away obviously in 2011 as well. And this is another stone. It's a rock with the word passion. The word passion is etched in stone there. So it's hard to see because of the angle I'm on, but yeah. And I got them on my arms because I want to be able to look at them. I don't quite understand why people get, I mean, listen, it's personal to you and that's fair. But for me, like if I was to get another tattoo, it's going to be in a place that I can see it. So it'll probably be on my arm. There is actually another tattoo I want to get. There's a couple more I want to get and whatnot. So I'll probably end up, I should do that soon actually. But I'll probably get it on my arm. I'll either get it on top of my arm or, I don't know, here maybe, or like maybe up here or something. Like I want to, I'm not going to get like a sleeve. I just mean that I want to be able to see them. It's important to me that I could see them. And that's why the passion and the believe are, you can't really see this, but the passion and the believe, the words are facing me. They're not facing outwards. They're facing me. So because they're for me. So I wanted to see them. Same with the dad and the hummingbird and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what they mean. But there's some people, will get a tattoo like on their, on their back or something, or, back here. And I'm like, but you never see it, and I bet you they will go through most of their life forgetting it's even there, whereas I, see my tattoos all the time. I mean, every time I, have a short sleeve shirt on, so, or I'm in the shower or, whatever. So yeah, that's why. Antonis Andriotis sends in $5. Thanks, buddy. Says, hey, Dave, did you actually use a real finger-bladed glove in Dylan's New Nightmare? There were four or five gloves on set, and a few of them were sharp. Yes, they were sharp. And a couple of them were dull as well, like were stunt gloves. You know what I mean? And things like that. So, not that there were any stunts, but just, safety, that kind of stuff. But no, the one I had on my hand most of the time, I mean, I circulated through them, but, no, they're sharp. If you touch the tip, they're sharp. I mean, I don't think you could definitely poke somebody's eye out. You could really, hurt somebody if you were to poke them. I can't remember if the blade itself is sharp. I'd have to double check. It might be a little bit, but nothing like lethal or anything like that. But yeah, no, they definitely were. Just another horror fan says, Dave, I asked about the runtime of Never Hike Alone 2 the other day. Oh, did you? I can't remember that. I was just curious because of everything DeSanti was describing. I could care less as long as it's good. Yeah, and I think most people are like that, right? I think most people are like you at the end of the day. Like I would throw that into the camp of you're excited about it, right? And you hear what he's describing. He's like, wow, how long is this thing? You know what I'm saying? And that's because you're excited about it. You know what I mean? And that's totally cool. That's totally cool. But there are people out there, and there's a significant number of them out there that want to know what the time is because they feel that if it's longer, it'll mean it's better. And that's not the case. It's not the case. I don't think, I think whatever the Exorcist runtime is shouldn't even be a story, really, at the end of the day. The only time it should be a story is if it's very clear that there's so much story to tell, and how on earth are they going to fit all that in this one film? Like, what you were saying, right? And, but it's all about, but with Jason too, I mean, we have to remember it's a slasher movie. There's not any real deep-seated, it's not the Shawshank Redemption, right? So, I think Vince had said it's like 75 minutes or something like that, which is considered feature length. I think anything over 50 minutes or 60, it used to be 60 back when I was a kid. Anything over 60 minutes was considered a feature length film. Now it might even be 50. What have they whittled it down to? Let me see here. How long is a feature length film? Okay, they're saying between 80 and 70. Maybe I'm thinking of festivals, because a feature film's normal screen runtime is between 70 and 90 minutes. It's true. However, a short film's running time might be as little as a few minutes and as much as 40 minutes. That's right, depending on the length. Yeah, it looks like there's some arbitrary numbers, and there's a general consensus. I agree that a film is usually between 80 minutes and 120 minutes. Yes, but what is considered feature length? Okay, here we go. This is from Wikipedia. According to the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, can't get any better than that, the American Film Institute and the British Film Institute, a feature film runs for more than 40 minutes, while the Screen Actors Guild asserts that a feature's running time is 60 minutes or longer. So there you go. There you go, right? There you go. Now, if you are a filmmaker who is submitting to festivals, you may find certain festivals will have categories that will say, anything 50 minutes and over is what you have to have in order to be considered for the feature film category. And anything under 50 minutes, sorry, you have to submit to the short film category, whatever the case is, right? You will notice some things like that when it comes to festivals, because I've seen them when I've submitted to festivals. So yeah, but there it is right there. Wild, isn't it? Isn't that wild? But having said that, you never see Hollywood films that are 40 minutes long, right? I mean, they're always like 80 minutes, 85 minutes, 90 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And like they said right there, usually it's a film between 80 and 90 minutes. So in order for your film to be 2 hours, the story has to justify it. There's got to be story. There's got to be so much story and so much wonderful just stuff that it just justifies it, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at The Empire Strikes Back, right? How long was The Empire Strikes Back? And I say that because it feels like so much happened in that movie, right? I think it was 2 hours. It was, 124 minutes. But so it's 13 minutes longer than Believer is reported to being. But think of how much happens in that movie. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think we need to kind of just not worry about it. Not worry about it. Who cares? Let me scroll back here. Creepin666 sends in a $2 super sticker. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have I missed anything else? I don't think I have. I just want to make sure I haven't. Nope. Nothing else yet. Good. Goody. Good to see Brooke Scarlett in here as well. Good to see you guys here. I'm just scrolling back to see if I get anybody new. Anybody that I don't usually get. Wade Wilson says, don't all scramble at once for Halloween Resurrection to be extended. That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Yeah, no, it looks like everybody's just kind of chilling. Not too many questions tonight, folks. Remember, if you want me to stick around, you got to ask questions. They don't have to be super chats, but they do have to, if you want me to stick around, let me know. Or I could take off right now. And I'll be satisfied, man. Good time to come in, Frank. Frank, the Tank Riker, says, I think all horror movies should be an hour and 30 minutes long. Depending on the subgenre, I mean, you're not wrong. I think slasher movies, I think that's a good sort of ballpark. You can tell a lot in 90 minutes. You can tell a shitload in 90 minutes and it can feel fulfilled and complete and it be satisfying. You can, you really can. You really can. Cody Snyder says, which runtimes you should be worried about? Pro wrestling shows. Pay-per-view should not be 5 to 7 hours, 3.5 tops, maybe 4 for Mania. Come on. I wouldn't know anything about that, but I'll take your word on it, Cody. I will take your word on it. 5 to 7 hour pay-per-view does seem quite long. That's a whole day. That's a whole fucking day. That seems really, where it went. That seems really long. Very long. Antonis Andriota sends another $5. Thanks, buddy. He says, Dave, will you be seeing The Exorcist Believer opening night or opening weekend? Probably not. It all depends. I don't know if that's a movie I care to see in the theater. I've said this before, but, and I know it might seem funny to some because I do know that a lot of my viewers go to the movie theater every chance they get. And of course, I'm a huge supporter of movie theaters and I do go to the movie theater, obviously. But I don't go, it takes a lot for me to go to the theater, not because I'm lazy, not because it's too expensive, not because I prefer streaming. I actually don't. I actually prefer the movie theater. There's just, most movies I find I'm just like, I don't really need to see that in the theater. Do you know what I mean? And maybe I would have gone more over the last 10 years if I was a superhero guy, right? Because I mean, obviously what genre, what franchise has just not so much in the last couple of years, but certainly through the 2010s, what franchise dominated the movie theaters and people were going all the time. Well, it's Marvel, right? I mean, it was huge. It was this 22, 23 epic story and all that kind of stuff. And like, there's something there, right? Like, imagine if Endgame was, 85 minutes long. Well, yeah, then you go, well, hang on a sec. I got to be worried about this because we've got 22 movies that you need to wrap up in this. And you're telling me that you're going to do that in 85 minutes? I'm a little worried. Do you know what I mean? Then it makes sense. It makes sense, But I don't get out to the movies a lot. I'm trying to think of the last time I went to the movie theater. It was to see Barbie. That was the last time I went to the movie theater. Me and my lady went and saw Barbie and we had a good time. We went to dinner, saw the movie. Before that, we saw, I didn't get a chance to see Oppenheimer in the theater. What was the one before that we saw? We saw, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I did see that in the theater. But I've only seen 2 movies in the theater over the summer, and that was Barbie and Indiana Jones. I don't go to the theater a lot, not because I'm not a huge supporter of cinema. I absolutely am. But there's just not a lot of movies that come out where I'm like, I've got to see this in the theater, man. It's kind of the person I am. I don't just go to the movies just to see. Years ago, I did. I think maybe unless I had a job where I needed to do that, right? Like Cody Leach, shout out to Cody Leach, my man, Cody Leach. I mean, his job on YouTube, it's not a hobby for him. It's his full-time job. It's how he makes a living. That's why he has sponsors. That's why he does as many videos as he does. He's hugely successful. He's just killing it. And that's his job. So when you get up in the morning to go to your job, Cody gets up in the morning and his commute is from the bedroom to the basement. You know what I'm saying? That's my commute too. But I'm not doing YouTube. I'm doing obviously voiceover and all that kind of stuff. But that's his job. That's his job. So his job is to review movies. So he goes to the movie theater to review movies. That's what he does, you know? And so he's seeing, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 movies a week at the movie theater. Well, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. And when I was a teenager and even in my early 20s, I used to go to the movies all the time to see the latest and greatest. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't matter. Like, I saw Get Carter in the movie theater. I saw Planet of the Apes, not obviously, you know, the original, but, you know, the Tim Burton one. I saw The Others in the movie theater. I saw, like, I'm like going Halloween H2O, Halloween 6. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, I was seeing all the time, but you're a kid. And it's also a place of, and obviously there was no streaming. It was a very different time, a very different era, but it was also a place of, to hang out, right? And when you're a teenager, you know, it's really the only thing you can afford to do. You know, it's like, hey, you guys want to go watch a movie? And it's a means of hanging out, doing something, watching a movie, getting popcorn, chilling, you know what I'm saying? So obviously I think most of us who are, you know, now over 40, probably, unless it's your job, most of us probably did go to the movies more back when we were kids. Now it's sort of like for me, and it's been this way over the last number of years, it's like, oh, fuck, I got to see that in the theater. Like, I had to see Indiana Jones in the theater because it's Indiana Jones, right? You know, the Halloween movies, right? Even Kills and Ends, right? I got to go see it in the theater. You know, it's Halloween. You know, if an Elm Street was, you know, a Friday the 13th, it's, you know, childhood nostalgia. I got to go see that. I got to go see that, right? The Exorcist Believer, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I might go see it. I might. I mean, I didn't even see Talk to Me, and I'm really excited to see that. I didn't even see Talk to Me in the theater, you know? So I don't know. It's strange. I don't know. Like, at face value, you could hear that and be like, oh, you just don't like going to the movie theater. It's like, no, I love it. I love going to the movie theater. I really do. It's just got to be a movie that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to fucking see that on like a fucking 60-foot screen with surround sound and THX and put a fucking thing and munchies and, you know, recliners and bag and shit. I want to fucking want, you know what I mean? I don't know. Because and here's how I know it's not a streaming thing, because some of these movies that I don't go to the theater to see, I don't even watch on streaming when it comes out. It takes me forever to get. I still haven't seen Dr. Sleep. I still haven't seen it. Right? There's so many movies that you guys have seen that are, you're light years ahead of me. And I know it's ironic because I'm a movie guy, right? So you would think, well, wouldn't you be watching movies all the time? If I was a movie reviewer, yes. But I'm not a movie reviewer, right? So I don't need to go to the theater because nobody's depending on me to tell them what I think about a certain movie. But I always end up getting around to them. You know, I always end up getting around to watching the movies. I have seen Cobweb. I did see that. I rented that. And I definitely want to see Talk to Me for sure. Is that available now? I'm not sure. But yeah, it's so funny. My relationship with the movie theater is ironic considering who I am. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, you know, a movie lover, right? It's ironic. You think I'd be going to the movie theater like at least 3-4 times a month. No, like months will go by before I go to the theater. But it's because I look at movies too. Like, I don't care about the superhero films. I don't care about the Fast X films. You know, I don't care about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't care about, like, let me go to the theater and see what's playing right now, just for shits and giggles. Cineplex. I got to go to Canada's AMC, which is Cineplex. Okay, Expendables 4, like I hear it's shit. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I really don't care. I love the first, you know, Expendables. The second one was good. I don't care about that. The Nun 2, I don't care. I just don't, I'm not interested, right? The Creator might get me to go to the theater. Bruce will probably end up going to see that anyway. Bruce, if you're watching, maybe we should go see The Creator. Saw 10, nah, don't care. It Lives Inside. I am curious about that. But theater, I don't know. Dumb Money, nah. It might be funny, but Nah, don't really care. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, no. The Haunting in Venice, not going to the theater to see it. But maybe if, my lady wanted to go see it. Equalizer 3, no. Meg 2, no. Ninja Turtles, no. Gran Turismo, no. Blue Beetle, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's lots of things I just don't care. And when I say I don't care, I don't mean that I'm saying I don't care because I'm above those movies. Those movies are beneath me because those movies are shit. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying that at all. It's just like there's not an interest. I don't really care. Like, I checked out a Saw years ago. I'll watch it when it comes out. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's funny. My relationship with the movie theater definitely has changed over the years, but I still love it. When a movie does come out, I'm like, I gotta go fucking see that in the theater. And I go, I love it. I still get that feeling. I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. You know what I mean? I still love it. I love the movie theater. I want to preserve the movie theater experience. I think it's the best place to watch movies. I think it's still the best place to watch horror movies, especially like highly anticipated horror movies with a big audience and a large crowd and all that kind of stuff. For sure. For sure. A couple of super chats came in. Super chat from Fast Forwards 29. Thanks, buddy. Says, what's up, Dave? I'll probably wait till it comes to streaming to see this movie because honestly, I don't really care for the original Exorcist. Unpopular opinion. I know. Hope you're doing well, Dave. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Hey, you know what? Yeah. You're not really a big fan of the original, so you're like, I'm not going to go and see this. I'll wait till it comes to streaming. Yeah. That's fair. That's totally fair, man. I get it. And thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Chuckum0503 sends in $5, says, just finished watching My Bodyguard. Oh, yes. Love that movie. Think I've heard you mention it heard you mention being a fan before. I am a fan of that. Not The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. My Bodyguard with, what's his face there? Oh, fuck. It's gonna kill me. My Bodyguard, 1980. Dylan. Matt Dillon. That's right. Yeah, Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon, Adam Baldwin, and I thought he was related to the Baldwin brothers. He's not. My Bodyguard. If you guys haven't seen My Bodyguard, it's a drama from 1980 about this kid who's picked on, and he hires this, this big guy in school to be his bodyguard, and but they end up forging a really good friendship, and it's good. It's a good movie. My dad really liked that movie too. My dad was a big fan of that movie. And he's the one that actually introduced me to that movie. And I really liked it a lot. Yeah. So if you haven't checked out My Bodyguard, make sure you do that. Thanks, Chuck. Oliver Mercer sends in £5. Thanks, Oliver, and says, hey, Dave, you seen Linda Blair's Savage Streets from 1984? If not, I strongly recommend that film. It has a brutal setup, yet a good payoff. I have not. I haven't even heard of Savage Streets from 1984. So I will have to I'll check it out. See, here's something fascinating. We got Dude who says Cobweb was boring. The lame type of slow burn. Visually decent looking though for the budget and digital. I disagree. I actually quite liked Cobweb. I don't think it's phenomenal. But I actually thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a decent little horror thriller. It kind of reminded me of the same way I felt about The People Under the Stairs. In terms of that quality. And I think I might like The People Under the Stairs better. But I thought Cobweb was good. I thought it was, listen, if that had been my first feature film and it was getting the buzz that it got and it did all right, I'd be happy with that. No, I liked it. I thought it was actually quite good. And the certain dream sequence and the visuals in that dream sequence I thought were quite frightening. Again, it's not like a top greatest horror movie of all time. But in terms of like the horror genre and how most horror movies are just terrible, Cobweb is one that's not terrible. And it's good. It's good. I don't say it's phenomenal, but it's good. I thought it was all right. That was pretty good. For what it was, I thought it was good. Yeah. But hey, everybody has their opinions. Everybody has different tastes too, right? Like, I mean, believe it or not, I've had people say to me, and this is their right to say it. I've mentioned this before, but I have had people say to me, Dave, I wasn't a fan of It's Me, Billy. I didn't like your movie, right? And I'm paraphrasing, but they would say that. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. And I would ask why. And they'd say, well, there wasn't, like, they basically say there wasn't enough blood and killing. There wasn't it. Basically what they're saying is that I don't like this kind of horror movie, right? Because, again, It's Me, Billy, Black Christmas, it's not cut from the same cloth as Never Hike Alone, right? When you watch Never Hike Alone 2, oh my God, you're going to get blood and guts and death and carnage and killing and great production value. And, it's going to be awesome. I'm so proud of Vince and his team. Like, it's going to be amazing, right? And, but that's because it's Friday the 13th, right? So it makes sense to have that kind of, that kind of storytelling, right? Whereas Black Christmas, now, if we were making a sequel to the '06 Black Christmas, well, then that's different then, right? We have to kind of, but the original Black Christmas from 74 is a psychological horror thriller. It's a slow burn Hitchcock kind of thing, right? Very much in the same similar vein as the original Halloween. So we wanted to make sure that It's Me, Billy felt like it was cut from the same cloth of storytelling and it lives and breathes in the same universe. So Billy is a slow burn, right? There's a lot of character development, slow burn, getting reacquainted, eerie atmosphere, isolation, the house, alone, Bill, right? You're on that roller coaster going, and then we get to the point where it's like, oh, shit hits the fan, and then we get into it. And then just before it gets, really good, oh no, cliffhanger, no. And now with chapter 2, of course, we're picking up where we left off. But even chapter 2 is darker. Chapter 2 is definitely darker in tone. Chapter 2 is, you will feel that darker, grittier kind of thing with chapter 2, because now it's essentially the climax of the story that you just watched, right? So, there's going to be, a little bit more blood, but it's not like a slasher movie. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's blood, guts, and gore. There was blood in, Black Christmas as well, but it's classy. It's done within the same style, right? It still has to feel like it's connected to the same universe and it's connected to the same film, the same story we're telling. So, you know what? Hey, if you didn't like It's Me, Billy, because you thought it was boring or lame, not enough action, not enough blood, that's fair. I mean, it's just not for you, right? It's not for you. You don't like that kind. Maybe you thought the original Black Christmas was boring, right? But I love those kinds of movies. I love the theater of the mind, as you guys know. And so I love telling slow burn, those kinds of stories like, Hereditary and The Exorcist, Halloween, Black Christmas, The Others, even the first Conjuring, like I said, is a slow burn. I mean, it's a nice sort of, it drip feeds you a bit, right? You know what I mean? And that's great. I love films that are like that. But yeah, no, it is, it's funny when people will say that. I didn't like it. I thought it was shit. Oh, well, what'd you find shit? Well, it just wasn't enough death. I think one review was, this movie could have been fantastic if it had an extra sorority girl and what did they say? It was something like this review. This movie could have been great if it had 2 extra sorority girls and a bucket more of blood or something like that. And I was like, that's not a review. That doesn't mean, most people don't know how to review a movie, to be honest with you. But I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? Hey, you can't win them all, right? You can't win them all. Let me see here. Super chat comes in from Rio Reveal. Thanks, buddy. Says, Talk to Me would be really good 2 Dudes episode. Yeah, Tony and I might do it. I'll have to ask. We've obviously been steering away from the watch-alongs for a bit, but you just mean like an episode. Yeah. But I have to see it. I don't know if Tony has seen it yet, so I'll have to run it by him. But hey, if we both really like it, I'm totally down with talking about it. I'm sure he would be too. Fast Forwards follows up, says, I love It's Me, Billy, but I was wondering, why didn't you make a short film about Port Robinson Road like Saw did to try and make it a feature-length film? Well, I think I talked about, Vince and I sort of talked about this the other day when I had him on the channel here. And that is, again, the reason why, and there's no right way or wrong way. Okay, there's no magic red button that says you have to do it this way. And if you don't do it this way, then there's no hope in hell of you achieving success, or you're going to crash and burn, or this is the right and the only way to do it, right? Okay, let me first say that. For myself, and I know for Vince, who's, he's a professional. He has his own production company, Womp Stomp Films. He's worked in the industry a long time. And I know for him, that's what he wants to do. He wants to make movies and get paid for them, right? He wants to make movies professionally and get paid for them. I know that that's what he wants to do. And years ago, when he made Never Hike Alone, it started off as just kind of this fun fan thing that he didn't have a plan. He didn't plan to spend the next 6 years doing this, but it became so successful. It was so well received. It looks fantastic. Became one of the great fan films of all time. One of the best looking studio fan films of all time. And he decided to, I got to finish this now. I have this arc, I got to finish this. And it got a lot of eyeballs on it. A lot of Friday the 13th alum. Tom Matthews is now in it, right? Well, I guess he was in it then too, but he's in it. And of course he's heard from, I think he's even gotten some praise from Victor Miller, if I'm not mistaken. So and what helps too, when you have, and again, there's no right way or wrong way to do this. You certainly can create something original. It's your own IP. You own it. You go out there. Look what Damien Leone did with Terrifier, and it's worked for them, and that's fantastic. I think those guys are awesome. That's great. Look what the guys did with Talk to Me. That's fantastic too. Mind you, they also have a YouTube channel with millions of followers as well, so that obviously helps. That A24 knows, hey, you have millions of followers. You're going to bring in millions of people to the theater to see it. Right? So you got to keep that in mind as well. But so there's no right way or wrong way to do it. And for me back then, yes, Port Robinson Road is an original story, original IP that I definitely want to do. But in the world of filmmaking, I'm a nobody right now, right? In voiceover, I'm a little bit of a somebody because I've been doing it for 22 years. But in filmmaking, I'm nobody. Even though I went to film school, I studied it, I've worked on set, and I've always kept that pile of light going. But I really wanted to make a professional film, like on a professional level with professional actors, professional crew, professional equipment for my first time, right? And I've told the story before. And we just decided to do a fan film because it's fun to play in that sandbox. We didn't want to bite off more than we could chew. And because if we fail with Black Christmas, it's easier to digest than failing with Port Robinson Road. Port Robinson Road is so near and dear to my heart, way more than It's Me, Billy is. And I love It's Me, Billy. I love what we've been able to create here, right? But Port Robinson Road is personal because I lived the experience. And so I didn't want to, my first time out doing something on a professional level, I didn't want to bite off more than I can chew. And I thought, you know what, let's do a fan film, but let's not go for the low hanging fruit. Let's not do Friday because Vince has got that all, locked up. Let's not do Freddy because Cecil's got that. Let's not do Halloween because Malik is going to shut us down. And he would. I know there's lots of Halloween, fan films online that don't, but when the quality and the level that we were going to go at, Malik would not have allowed it. I mean, when we launched, like if we did a Halloween fan film and we launched our trailer online, the production quality would have looked like, Halloween Kills, right? I mean, it would have looked like, in terms of the production value, right? So there's no way Malik was going to allow that. And we knew that. I knew that because he shut down films before. So I didn't want to touch Halloween. And I was a little Michael Myers'd out, to be honest with you, right? So I thought Black Christmas. It's a Canadian film shot here in Toronto. We're Canadian from Toronto. You know the story. That's what we did. And if we fail, the risk is not as high, right? The risk is not as high. We fail with Port Robinson Road. We fail to get eyeballs on it. Studios turn us down. It's a gut punch. It's far more of a gut punch. So Bruce was on board. We found an ingenious way to continue the story, we thought. something that made sense. And because Black Christmas never spawned a franchise, it never spawned any sequels, 2 remakes, but never any sequels, there was no mythology. There was no story, no lore. So yes, we don't own the IP, but It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 and 2, for all intents and purposes, are original films. They are. They're based on you know, the characters and that story, but it's not like we have any sequels to tap into and pull from. We don't. It is a completely original idea and story. And it was fun to play in that sandbox, and we did it, and we show what we could do, and we delivered a studio quality, you know, fan film. And that doesn't mean you have to like it. I'm just saying that, you know, in terms of its, you know, professionalism from, you know, top to bottom, we delivered what we said we were going to do. We're very proud of it. It's the first part of a 2-part story, obviously. So if it feels incomplete and arcs feel unfinished, and well, that's because it is. And now we're gearing up to do Chapter 2. But the cool thing is that Chapter 1, you know, it did get some eyeballs onto us, right? As I've said many times. So that was really, really cool. So listen, you can't make a living in this business doing fan films, okay? And I can't speak for Vince, okay? Usually I feel like I can because we're pretty kind of, you know, we see eye to eye and all that stuff. In this instance, I'm not going to speak for Vince, but I will say, or Cecil, but I will say that for us, we weren't creating It's Me, Billy, with hopes that somebody would hire us to do to do a Black Christmas sequel. That's not why we were doing it. We just wanted to do something that was lower risk, where we could showcase our skills, but still there's a hook to it. And that hook is, it's a Canadian film from Toronto. We're Canadian from Toronto. There's a romanticism around that. It's a good news story. Right? It's got a hook to the story of just the making of that movie. And we knew that was good and that was positive. And, but whatever happens from it happens, right? Whatever happens. But we wanted to deliver something that would, you know, for us, that's what it was about. But it was also about not just showcasing what we could do, but also delivering. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Delivering something that Black Christmas fans can be proud of, right? Can say, this is what they should have done with 06. This is what they should have done with 19, is gone this direction. And you know, it's a legacy sequel. The 06 film and the 19 films are not legacy sequels, right? So, you know, this is what we think they should have done. And to deliver something that can once again show that fans know how to do it. And, you know, if it's in the right hands with people who really care about the IP and the property, can do it justice. And hopefully, again, not everybody's going to like it. That's just art. But hopefully it will please more than it doesn't Black Christmas fans. And it was something really cool. But all in all, it's a lower risk sort of thing, right? And, but as I've said, we can't make fan films for the rest of our lives. If we want to make a career out of this and we want to make money off of this, we can't do that, which is why I've said that It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, although they are original for all intents and purposes, and the level of quality that we've delivered, if the rights holders came forward and loved what we did, they don't have to do anything. They can just take that and throw it up on Prime, or throw it up on, you know, Netflix, or, you know, throw it on a 50th anniversary 4K, you know, release of the movie as a cool little extra feature. They can do that. Like the quality, it's not like, this is bad quality, we need to reshoot this. They don't have to do that. They can just take what we've done and take it, right? And who knows, maybe that'll happen. I don't know, but that's not why we're doing it, right? That's a bonus if that happens, but you got to do it because you believe in the story, you believe in the project, you believe in what you're doing as filmmakers, and we really, really do. But it was just overall, with our first time stepping into this level, I didn't want to make it Port Robinson Road right away. Now, as somebody who's gone through, the war with It's Me, Billy Chapter 1, is currently going through a war with It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. I now have my own production company with Bruce, Dark Chapter Pictures, and it's a legit incorporated production company. We are now Dark Chapter Pictures. We had to do that in order to be able to do Chapter 2 because we are now a union shoot. So we're dealing with ACTRA and SAG. We had to join the CMPA as well, which is the Canadian Media Producers Association. All this kind of stuff, right? And so that's pretty cool. And that has all come from this, which is really cool. And now, once It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 is done, and it's going to be the same, professionalism from top to bottom as part 1. But when Chapter 2 is done, I should say, I feel better. I feel more experienced. I feel more confident. I feel like I'm ready. I'm ready now to take something that's personal to me, you know what I'm saying? Like Port Robinson Road, and go, you know what? I have an idea, because like I said, Chapter 1 did get some eyeballs onto us. We had a meeting with the studio, and they liked what we did. They were very impressed with Chapter 1. And of course, whenever you speak to a producer who's at a production company or a studio, and the reason why you're all talking is because they liked what you did, inevitably the conversation turns to, what else do you got? Right? What else do you got? And, being confident, being more confident, I think, I don't want to speak for Bruce, but I think he does feel the same way. Bruce and I will feel even more confident in our capabilities as not just filmmakers, or not just directors, but as producers as well, because we are producing these projects as well. And so we're just going to feel more confident to be able to tackle, like Bruce has a really personal thing. He's got a Port Robinson Road too. It's not, but I don't know if he wants me to tell you the name, so I won't, but he's got a story that is very personal and near and dear to him that he would love to tell. And I think after Billy Chapter 2 is out there, and hopefully the world is just eating it up for the 50th anniversary, we will be in a position that there will be more eyeballs on us, and we will be more confident as filmmakers in our capabilities and abilities to be able to then move into tackling the personal projects. So I know I've gone off on a big soapbox, tangent here, but it's a great question. It's a really good question with a lot of nuances, right? And because it's true, there's some people that just dive into it. There's some people that they don't do fan films, and they're certainly not going to do a fan film, on a professional level. Why would you do that? Why would you raise all that money and just do a fan film when you can just take that and make an original film? I hear that all the time. Right? And that's fair. It's totally fair, right? Everybody's path can be different. And you got to do what you got to do. But I'm very proud of what we've been able to achieve. I'm proud of the response that Billy is getting. I'm proud that Black Christmas alumni have reached out to us and said, love your film, love what you're doing. If Bob Clark were around, he would love this. That's all the accolades I need for something like that, right? And it's really cool. And it's all coming to a head now. The 50th anniversary, it's really cool what we're doing. And like I said, the quality is there. So if the rights holders ever wanted to just take it and make it officially canon, even though I think most fans and horror fans will probably just consider it canon anyway, they can do that. But there's no right way or wrong way, right? Everybody's got a different journey. I've been in this business long enough to know that what works for one isn't necessarily going to work for another. You know what I mean? Anyways, but it's such a good question. Edward Nito sends in $10. Thanks, Edward. Says, sup, Dave, my Godzilla brother from another mother. Says, my brother and I will be driving up to Pasadena for the H45 convention. Amazing. I hope all has been going well, man. I checked the Indiegogo for IMDb too, and I'm so proud to be a part of this project. Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, listen, I unfortunately will not be able to make the H45 convention unfortunately. But I wish everybody there to have a great time. If it's your first time there, soak it up. Meet as many people as you possibly can, especially those older alumni, because you don't know if there's even going to be a 50th. And even if there is, you don't know if they're going to be around for it. So yeah, just, do what you can and bring cash and just have a great time. Have a great time. And we're doing very well we have one associate producer perk left on the Indiegogo campaign. Just one associate producer perk left, and it is currently a featured perk on the campaign right now, and I would love to sell that off. So if anybody out there wants to become an associate producer on It's Me Billy Chapter 1, there's one associate producer perk left. The link to the campaign is in the description. Just go there, pick it up. You get a Blu-ray, you get an It's Me Billy Chapter 2 t-shirt, you get invited to the advanced screening online, of course. You get your name in the end credits. You also get your name in the end credits as an associate producer. You get your name credited on IMDb as an associate producer. You get the digital download package as well, which is the movie, the script, and the poster digitally. You get a lot of stuff for the associate producer. So there's just one left. One left. I really hope it sells. It's got to. And then super chat from Antonis Andriota sends in $10. Thanks. Antonis says, any plans for Halloween night this year, Dave? Does Canada have haunts around this time of year like USA does? Will It's Me Billy Chapter 2 be more brutal than the first one? Okay, I'll start with the Halloween stuff. Yes, Halloween is big here. It's just as big here as it is in the States, 100%. There's haunts. There's a theme park here called, there's a theme park here in Toronto called Canada's Wonderland. And it's essentially like a Six Flags. It's been around for decades. I think it opened in like 1980. It's one of the, I think it's got, is it second with the most roller coasters or something like that? It's huge. It's awesome. It's an awesome park. And like what Universal Studios does with Universal like haunts and all that, Canada's Wonderland does that every, actually I think it's on now. Runs I think through like September and October. And it's really cool. So they do the whole like haunt thing and all that kind of stuff. And oh yeah, no, it's big here. It's if you live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of kids, now it's not like it was when, I don't know how old you are, but as someone who's, 44, I'll be 45 next year. Of course, every generation probably says this, but it's not like it was when I was a kid. But it's certainly Halloween still exists. You go into the stores, you go into Walmart or wherever, and you'll see, Halloween candy out, all the costumes. It's the same. It's the same here. So yeah. And will It's Me Billy Chapter 2 be more brutal than the first one? Well, define brutal, right? Define brutal. I mean, we don't go from It's Me Billy Chapter 1 to Friday the 13th. So when you watch Never Hike Alone 2 on Friday the 13th, it's not going to be that. Is it more brutal? I would say that it's yes. But within the confines of the story we're telling. Do you know what I mean? So it's a darker film, I think, because now shit's hit the fan. Like, we left off Chapter 1 when shit had just hit the fan, right? So now, for those of you that don't know, I've already, said this, Chapter 2 picks up immediately where the first one left off. So it's a Halloween 1, Halloween 2 situation. So now we just continue from there. So Sam and Jess are in the basement. How are they going to get out of the basement? What's Jess doing down there? Isn't she dead? How is she dead? How long has she been down there? How are they? Oh my God, what's it? Like all that, like now we're in it. Like now we're like, okay, we're like thrust into it now. So it's darker and it's more brutal, I guess. Yes, I guess it would be more brutal. But again, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it's within the context, right? Do you know what I'm saying? It's within that context. But yes, it would be more brutal than say Chapter 1. Yes. But don't expect Terrifier hacksaw split into shit. It's not like that. You know what I mean? It's just, again, it's within the confines of in the context of the story, right? But yeah, it's darker for sure. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, shit just got real sort of thing. Then Edwardito follows up another $10. Thanks, buddy. He says, oh yeah, our boy Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt are now in the Godzilla legendary Monsterverse. They are. I'm more excited for G-1, but this is still cool to hear. Yeah, I'm looking forward to both. I don't know which one I'm more. I think I might be more excited for the Godzilla -1 too, as well. I mean, I think you're right. I think I might be a little more excited for that. But I'm definitely going to check out both, and just kind of give it a chance. I don't know. And I assume that the series that Kurt Russell and his son are in is connected to the new Godzilla movie that's coming out next year, right? Like is it next year? I think it's next year. It's like, do we know when it takes place? Like, is it between Godzilla versus Kong and this new one? Or it's got to be connected somehow. I would imagine. Warren Armour says, wow, Canada is awesome. It has Nev Campbell. Did I mention Canada has Nev Campbell? Just gorgeous. It's like me saying, wow, America is awesome. You guys have Bruce Springsteen. It's funny. Yeah, no, Canada. Hey, there's lots of people who you wouldn't even think are Canadian. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, God, Michael J. Fox and Keanu Reeves and Ryan Reynolds, William Shatner, Nev Campbell, so many. Jim Carrey, of course, John Candy, Martin Short, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara. I'm going through the SCTV lineup. Mike Myers, James Cameron. Geez, so many. Like, wow, they're Canadian. Yep. A lot of them. Fast forwards another $10. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that. It says, last one for me, Dave. Great show as always. Have you had a chance to see Dark Knight of the I haven't yet. Damn it, I got to do that. That's what it was called. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. You know what? I was trying to find that not long ago, and I couldn't remember the name of it. All right. Let me put this down. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Okay. I haven't yet, but I will. Don't worry, I will. I would like to know your thoughts on it. I think you'd enjoy it. Take care, Dave. Thanks, buddy. Really, really appreciate that. I will get around to it. I promise I will get around to it. Edward says, I think so. They usually make a comic to interlink the movies. This time we're getting a series. I see. I get you. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I get you. Let me just see if I can grab a few people that I didn't get before. Let me see. J Mitch 1234, my man. J Mitch says, is DD live at 8? Is that Drum Dums live? Drum Dums? Yeah, he's got a live show too. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure. He might be. I'm not sure. But if he is, I'm going to be wrapping up here in a second. So all you fine people out there, head over to watch Drum Dums, if that's what J Mitch is talking about. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, when you went to the convention in 2018, H4O, did you meet any Myers actors, Tyler Mane, Nick Castle, Dick Warlock, or any of them? Not at H4O. The only two Myers actors I've met are Nick Castle and Dick Warlock. And Nick Castle I met 8 years ago at Fan Expo here. I've told that story before. And then Dick Warlock I met at Mad Monster, but he was sitting, I was there for Dylan's New Nightmare, right? So I'm at the table and he came up and wanted to talk to me about the makeup that I had on the night before. I think I posted a photo about that. So that was really cool. So, but we didn't talk about Halloween or anything like that. He just was genuinely interested in what the hell I was doing there with all the makeup and all that. So we talked for like 5 minutes about that, but really, really nice man, really sweet man. And So even though we didn't talk about Halloween or, I didn't get his autograph, technically I did meet him. So yeah, those are the only two guys that I've met. I haven't met anybody else. I don't think. I've seen them. Like I saw James Jude and Chris Duran and Brad Laree, and like I saw them there, but they had big lineups and stuff, and I wasn't really there to get I didn't get any autograph when I went to the H4O. I was more interested in seeing if I could get some people on camera. That to me means more to me. So I was able to, talk to Lance Guest and the actor that played, I forget his name now. Leo Rossi, right? I think that's his name, right? Played Bud. And of course, Dean Cundy and Rick Rosenthal and his wife, Marion Chambers there. Her name's, but her, and like that I found fun, to meet, different people. Rian Reese, of course, who played Dana in Halloween 18. She'll be there at H45. So that's really what I was doing there. I bought a couple of t-shirts. I bought a hoodie. And that was it. I didn't get anybody's autograph when I was there. Oh, I met Erwin Yablans, of course, which is how we got, how I got acquainted with him. But that was it. I didn't, so I didn't, I'm not a big autograph person. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really into that. Like Nick Castle I did, of course, because it's Nick Castle. Come on, it's the OG and I'm such a, you know what I'm saying? But everybody else, I don't, it doesn't really, it's not, again, it's not like I don't say that as like, oh, I'm just better. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, I don't really care. I don't, I've got the one autograph that I wanted. So now I can just go to the convention and kind of just, hang out, do whatever, you know what I mean? But I will say, if you are somebody that really is into that and, the autographs and all that kind of stuff, I think that's awesome. Bring lots of cash and make sure you hit those alumni, the older alum, your Nick Castles, your Dick Warlocks, your Tom Atkins, your Tommy Lee Wallaces. Make sure you hit those guys now because, I don't want to end this on a bad note, on a sad note, but they are in their 70s and, will they all be able to go? I mean, even if they're alive, right? Like Charles, Cyphers, he was I met him at H4O. And here's a prime example. I remember thinking that, wow, he kind of looks old now. And I was glad that I met him because even if there was an H45, there's no guarantees that he would be around, right? Well, he is around. He's still alive, thank goodness. But he just recently had to cancel H45 because of health. So that's my point, right? Like, so, could Nick Castle and I think Dick Warlock's 82 or something, could he be around in, 5 years? He could be, but there's no guarantees that he'd be in, good enough health to be able to go to the convention, right? So that's why, like, get those guys now, because this could be it. This could be it, I hate to say that, but, it's true. It's true, Anyways, let's end on a happy note. Eric Edit says, I laughed uncontrollably when you made fun of how Dr. Loomis was waving his cane around in Halloween 4. He swung it like a lasso. When was I doing that? I've done so many videos, I can't remember now. I have no doubt that I did, unless you're talking to somebody else. I assume you're talking to me. That's awesome though. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Let me see here. Evil Alex says, do you already think about how you're going to do your OG films after It's Me, Billy 2? Indiegogo again, or approach Netflix or Prime and show off your fan films and pitch ideas? No, it won't be like that. So these big studios do not take unsolicited material, right? So, there's too many people out there wanting to get their stuff made by one of these big guys. We have already talked about it. We already have a plethora of ideas that we're going to do. And now that we have our own production company, that bodes well for us. That means that, if people if somebody like goes back, like if somebody really likes what we've done with Billy, then, you know, there may be another production company out there that we can partner with, right? Maybe they may be more experienced, so they take the lead. They may become, say, the distributor, but we're the production company, so we make the movie, right? Because there's a production company, there's a studio, right? So like Universal, for example, is a studio. They're not a production company. Blumhouse is a production company. So Blumhouse is the company that makes the movie. So Jason Blum is the producer. He hires the director. You know, they get the crew together. They make the movie, right? But Universal is the distributor. So now that we have our own production company, we can start to build, you know what I mean? And maybe there's somebody we partner with where, you know, we start to do something, and that's a lot of fun, and that's interesting too. But you can't just take Billy 1 and 2 and email Netflix and say, so what do you think of this? Give me money. You know, it doesn't work. No, I'm not saying you're saying it does, but it's just, yeah, no, you can't send unsolicited material. You either have to get in by means of a contact. So there's somebody that you know who is in a position, a very sort of influential position where they can put in a good word for you. That is what happened with us and Billy, chapter 1. There was somebody who was in a position that was able to put us forward and be like, you got to check these guys out. And they did. And the producer was like, wow, this is really good. This is impressive. This looks like wow. And we were able to nurture and foster a relationship with this guy, which is still open. Like I said, that relationship is still there. It's still open. The door is still open. Bruce and I just made the decision to finish the Billy story, hone our craft even more, make ourselves even more powerful. And when I say more powerful, I don't mean more influential. And I don't mean like that. I mean more powerful in terms of, you know, better, more experienced filmmakers is what I mean. Because, you know, there's somebody out there that's going to think, oh my God, look how Dave's talking out of his ass. He thinks he's amazing. That's not what I mean by that. I mean like more experienced, right? That's what I mean. Oh God, the internet. But and that's what we want. And it gives us an opportunity to finish the Billy story. So we have a completed narrative piece. Now we have, you know, a finished product. And it's professional. Like it's legit. We can use it as a calling. Like we can use it in our portfolios. I would never use the fan films. They're cool and they're fun, but I would never take the home movie fan films I made, you know, and put them in my portfolio. I would never do that because they're clearly me in my backyard with my, you know, I would never do that. They're not something you want to put forward, right? Whereas the Billy films are. And so yes, so it's, you don't call up these people or email them and say, hey, how, you know, it's usually by means like this. You try to utilize the connections you have, foster, reach out to certain people, you know, maybe certain people reach out to you and just kind of, you know, it's difficult. It's not easy. But I only think that Billy 2 will put Bruce and I in an even better position to be in a position where we are now speaking with people about our original projects. You know, if Billy 1 was able to open a certain door, which was really cool, when Billy 2 comes out, right? Look who's in it, 50th anniversary. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's only going to help in that regard. So yeah, but would we love to make something that winds up on Netflix? Well, yeah, who wouldn't, right? You never know. It may happen. Oh, Dave says, fast forward says, Dave, I believe you missed a couple of super chats. Mine before my last one. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Let me go back. I want to make sure I get them. I got the Antonis Andriotis one. Oh yeah, okay, I didn't get that right. Thank you, Fast Forwards. Says, what's your favorite recent horror movie? Mine would either be Smile or The Lighthouse. Really enjoyed those two films. Surprised how much I like them. I definitely like Smile. Yeah, I thought Smile was actually good. I actually liked it. Again, as far as like a mainstream studio produced film, it was good. And I always say that because usually in today's day and age, it's like the independent sort of scene where you're getting a lot of these really cool horror movies. But I liked Smile. I would say that it's not too recent. I think it's 2017, but I fanboy over this all the time. The Ritual. I love The Ritual. And I had never even heard of it. And I watched it on Netflix last year. I think I was just sitting there surfing for something to watch. It was on Netflix. All I read was the blurb. I'd never heard of it. I read the blurb, and you know the Netflix blurbs, they don't tell you much. And I went in cold. Never watched a trailer, nothing. I went in cold. Fucking loved it. If you haven't seen The Ritual, you've got to watch it. Oh, it's my kind of horror movie. There's very little I would have done differently in that movie. Love it. The symbolism, the cinematic language, the suspense, the mood, the atmosphere. I always got to say that. It's fucking great. So I would say, yeah, The Ritual is one as of recent that I'm excited. Fairly Hereditary, of course, I really like too. X, I thought was okay. I'm not as big on X as a lot of people are. Still haven't seen Pearl, but I hear it's good. Barbarian, I liked Barbarian. I did. I liked Barbarian. Yeah. I think I liked Barbarian better than X. And I still have to see Talk to Me. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. All right, I think I've got all the super chats, right? Last one for me, Dave. Yeah, brother. Any plans Halloween night? Got that. What's your favorite horror? Got that. Sup, Dave. I love IMDb. Was wondering why don't you make films for Officer Road? Got that. Talk to Me would be really good too, dudes. Got that. Hey, Dave. Yeah, I think I've got them all now. I believe I've got them all now, if I'm not mistaken. All right, folks. Well, listen, that is going to do it for me here on this episode of McRae Live. Thank you all for tuning in. And always remember, we don't always have to agree. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with me. I really do. I just do. I appreciate it very, very much. And thank you, of course, to all the super chat questions that came in today. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you to my great moderators. You know who you are. This tight ship wouldn't be run as well as it is if it wasn't for my great moderators, of course. I really appreciate you as well. And don't forget to check out the It's Me Billy Chapter 2 campaign. Link in the description. One associate producer left. That's it. When it's gone, it's gone. This isn't a situation where we're going to add more back. No, it's gone. It's gone. And if you want to become a channel member here on the channel and get exclusive shows and perks, that link is in the description as well. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. And I will catch you guys at some point throughout the week this week. All right, folks, take care. I will talk to you all soon. In the meantime and in between time, cheers.